Shalom. Allah start out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Kakadash, double honors to the apostles and the Elsewhere Millstone. Salutations to the Ophelet, that's pushing his truth across four corners of the earth, all faith, truth, and sincerity. I'm one by back and getting us sitting. Just want to go into about how this so-called white man, Esau, my devil, that's in power right now. They time of rulership. It's coming to the end. The time of, ruling, it's short, it's coming, is at an end, and they ain't got much time, and, these wicked devils, they, they, like I said, they in desperate mode to try, get their NWO agenda, New World Order agenda, accomplished, but it's not gonna, they're not gonna fully, fulfill their New World Order agenda, it's gonna be cut short by Lord Yahushua when he returns with the angels. So like I say, we in those times right now, man, this so-called white man, Esau and my devils, rulership is coming to an end, man. So I'm gonna start with Joel 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth? Joel 20:5, that the triumph offering of the wicked is short, and the joy of a hypocrite but for a moment. So the triumph offering of the wicked is short. So, going to the word triumph offering, let's go into it. Let me see. Yeah. So now triumphing, is going like to go to about the Roman generals, at the time, the time of the Romans, right, when they ruled. But let me go to that word triumphant real quick. I'm gonna go back to this. So I say achieve a victory, be successful. Said of a Roman general riding to ancient Rome after victory. See a little bit more on this. See some more. So rejoice or exalt a victory or success. That might be it on that. So, to achieve a victory or be successful. So these go back. So these So no, at the time, time of Rome, when the Edomites was in the time of power in Rome, when they was in the rulership of the time of Rome, you had the triumvirate, which I'm gonna read the AI review. Had the triumvirate Roman generals were victorious military commanders awarded Rome's highest honor, a Roman triumvirate, involving a grand parade throughout Rome with spoils, captives, and soldiers, culminating in sacrifices to Jupiter. Key figures include Pompey the Great, 3 triumphs, and Julius Caesar's 4 to 5 triumphs, and showcasing immense prestige and political power, even featuring a slave whispering, "Remember, you are multitude to the general." So go from there and go on down. So like you have the famous triumphant generals, Pompey, which I just read. Pompey the Great celebrated 3 magnificent triumphs of conquering Africa, Europe, Asia. Julius Caesar received 4 or 5 triumphs for victories in Gaul, Egypt, Pontus, Africa, Spain, surpassing even Pompey in scale. And Vespasian and Titus honored with a triumph for their victory over the Jews. So you had these triumphant generals, Roman generals, at the time, that had their triumphant victories, you know. But those victories was just short lived, you know. It was just short, right? It wasn't long, you know. Um, Pompeius and Titus, they had that triumphant victory over the Jews, which at the time the tribe of Judah, which the tribe of Judah, which today would be the Negroes, and the Israelites at the time, they got the victory over at the time the Israelites, the tribe of Judah, which are today would be the so-called Negroes, you know. But like I say, it was short lived, it was short victory, which I'm gonna get that real quick. Go into that. So we'll go to Julius Caesar's it said despite sudden brain for triumph, his political power was ultimately fragile, leading to his assassination shortly after his success. Pompey, his third triumph, lasted 2 days, an unprecedented extension of a traditional one-day limit. So, I say the triumphant, the Roman generals were on the short lived, It was only a short, time of them having, that moment of victory, in a moment of that time. But it's like I said, it was only short lived. That's why I don't go back and read it again. It said Job 25, the triumphant of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite for a moment. So in these times now, you got the so-called white man Esau that's in power, right now. Their time of, a rulership and, and getting these victories and doing this and doing that, Trump in power, whatever, and these Khazars, these small hats, having these, they doing what they doing, they in rulership, taking what they want, whatever they want to do, but it's only for a moment, it's only for a moment, man. These hypocritical devils, man. You lying ass wicked devils, man. They lie in your face, bro. They ain't no truth in them. They ain't gonna take no accountability for their faults and none of that. They're gonna look for somebody else to blame for their fuck ups. But I say the so-called white man Esau my devils that's in power now is on for their time of rulership is coming to an end, and it's gonna be short. Their victories and the things they accomplish, what it may be, is on the short, man. And I say for the so-called Negro, Latino, which are the Israelites, they just double so-called white man Esau Edomites that's in power right now. They ain't got much time left, man. Their time is coming. It's running out. Their time of rulership and power is coming to an end. But go from there to Job 26. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds. Job 27. Yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? So yeah, so the so-called white man Esau and my devils in power now, they're gonna perish like they own dung, like what dung means. But like I say, man, they time of should coming to an end, man. So the so-called Negro Latino Israelites, starting with the elect, those that believe in this truth of the word Lord Yahweh, Yahweh, that the apostles and the elders, brother and great millstone teach, that hey, keep your faith and keep trusting the Lord Yahweh in these times. Hold on to your faith until the end, no matter what. Even unto death. Because I said this devil is gonna be nothing but a short. A time of rulership and it's coming to the end. It's gonna be short. It's short lived. It's but for a moment, man. It's like I said, these days are going by fast. The time is going by fast. And it's double. And like I said, so-called white man Esau that's in power. They rulership, their time is winding down over their rulership. So it's gonna be like we're gonna be like, hey, where is this devil? Once they out of power, like I said, when Lord Yahweh returns with angels, and those missiles, begin to be begin to be shot towards America, Babylon Great, and other countries as well. But not the whole earth is not gonna be destroyed. So you're gonna be like, what? Edomites, where they at? Once it happened, they're gonna be done away with. But not just that, but once once the smoke clears from the nuclear destruction, these Edomites, like I say these top elites of Edomites, they're gonna be in these bunkers, but they're gonna get pulled out them bunkers, go into 1,000 years of slavery, and do what they gotta do, and then they're gonna be done away with, after 1,000 years. But on this verse, Job 28, he shall fly away as a dream, and he shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. So yeah. So let's say, man, gonna be like a dream, man. Edomite that's like, hey, once it's, once they done away with, completely just erased, they're gonna be, done away with, man. After 1,000 years of slave, like say, once America, this they rulership right now be, completely done. Then like say they, go into slavery for 1,000 years and then be done away with. It's gonna be like, hey, no more of these wicked devils, man. No more of these wicked Edomites, man. Being around nothing. It's gonna be completely like, erased out of out of history, completely nothing of them, man. And it's gonna happen, man. Thus said the Lord, his words are true. It's gonna come to pass, man. Ain't gonna be no more of dealing with this oppression, man, by these so-called white man, Esau and my devils, man. So-called Negro, Latin natives, which are Israelites, man, gonna be, once the Edomite devils are out of power, gonna be the next rulerships of the next rulers of the earth, starting with the elect, the Lord Yahushua, the house of David, and the 1/3, the 144,000, 1/3 of the elect of the so-called Negro Latin natives. Once establish the kingdom, it's gonna be forever. It's gonna be so-called Negro Latin natives, which are Israelites, gonna be happy, and no more pain, no more sorrow, no more worries, no more stressing. It's gonna be but happiness and peace, love. It's gonna come about, man. But you just gotta go through this process right now that we in. But the so-called white man Esau and my devils, and in rulership in the time of rulership, is coming to an end. Just gotta go through the process of the getting through it. The hardships, and dealing with the oppression and so forth. The ending of it, because there ain't gonna be no happy ending for the so-called white man East Sodomites, world. They rulership coming to an end. Got to deal with the the losses in this time, in this life, or it may be, because and something that's coming to an end, that's it's not gonna be a happy ending. For the so-called white man East Sodomites world, it's gonna be a lot of losses and pain and suffering, but it's best for it to happen it's best to happen so that you can gain the so-called Negro Latin natives, which are Israelites, to gain the kingdom of heaven, to gain it, to get it, to gain that, you lose everything in this world, in this life, and to gain the kingdom of heaven, the glory, the new bodies, and so forth, man. The so-called Negro Latino native Israelite women, being in order now, because most of the Israelite women, so-called Negro Latino native Israelite women, are just out of control, man, disrespectful, man. You ain't gonna have to deal with that no more once the kingdom is established. Lord Yahushua returns with the angels, and I say, and I say the house of David, and I say the elect, the 104,000, 1/3, and I say, and just being in order, having that, things just be, how it should be ran, in righteousness. Because right now everything's being ran by wicked and wickedness by the so-called white man East Side of my doubles, But like I said, these double hit their time of rulerships come to an end. But I'm gonna go to I'm gonna end off of this scripture here. If I can get to it. It's Obadiah 1:18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau a stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh have spoken it. You know? So, Lord Yahweh. So, but, right there's Yahweh. But, so the house of Jacob, when I say, the house of Jacob, which name is later changed to Israel, was the Israelites, which I know the southern kingdom, northern kingdom. And I say the house of Joseph is the northern kingdom. And going to be as a flame, the northern kingdom. So, you had the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom, which are the, Judah, Levi, and, Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, which are the southern kingdom, right? Today would be so-called Negroes, the Haitians, and Jamaicans, and then you had the northern kingdom, which consists of, the tribe of Gad, which are the natives, Reuben, the Seminole Indians, Issachar, the Mexicans, Manasseh, the so-called Cubans, and it's more. I'm trying to in my mind right now. Slack you, but forgive me for. I know it's more, but those are just in the Northern Kingdom. There's more now. That I'm missing out of that. I know Naphtali, if I'm saying it right, and I'm missing my tongue now. But Slack if you can, but the 12 tribes, right? So the Israelites, is gonna, these devils gonna get, completely, done away with, the 12 tribes gonna, gonna get rid of Esau, so-called white man devils, the house of Esau, the Edomites, which are the so-called white people, red people today. I say the Edomites. If you're an Edomite, you could be kind of light skinned or whatever, a little darker, but you could be Edomite. It's all about either you're Israelite or Edomite, because you had that confusion of faces there. You have some Israelites that look like Edomites, but it could be Israelite. You have some Israelites that look like more about Chinese, but they Israelites. So, and so forth, because Israel, the so-called Negroites and native Israelites, were scattered across these other nations, amongst the nations and countries. Men, having sex with different women, so forth, and like so, just with the 12 tribes of men, so have different intercourse, like I say, with these different women of the other nations, and then come out, looking like like I say, more about Chinese or so-called white man, but so-called white man, red man, but they could be an Israelite, and then like I say you have those that that might be a light skin, a little dark, or whatever it may be, but it could be an Edomite, because like I say you have Edomites that mess around with Israelite women's, the so-called Negroites and native Israelite women, and they could be Edomites, You might think, oh, that's Israelite. No, that could be Edomite, But it's like I say, so the Esau, house of Esau gonna be done away with. The wicked, the so-called white man, devil, the red, these red devil, house of Esau, the Edomites gonna be completely wiped away, man. After 1,000 years of slavery, once they they serve their time, 1,000 years of slavery. Once this kingdom fall, once the rulership of the rulership right now of the so-called white man Esau, Edomite rulership, Lord Yahweh returns, bring this down, destroy America, Babylon the Great. And other countries gonna get hit with missiles as well, and those Khazar lands in the land right now they're gonna be burnt up. But I say, but after, once the smoke clears in 1,000 years, they go into 1,000 years of slavery. The elites, the ones that get away from the missiles or the destruction, but they go underground in the bunkers, but they're gonna get pulled out of it. They're gonna, after 1,000 years of slavery, they're gonna be, do what they gotta do and then be done away with. Be wiped away completely. So, Let me see. So I didn't want to make this too long. I just been going to that. So again, I'd like to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash, to the apostle elders, to the sister brothers, to the few Aqua sisters, to do this and keep the faith in Yahushua, keep fighting with that. Shalom.